we walked by, and this gives you an idea a little bit of what you see at the combine. You go, oh, hey, Dan Marino.
There's Dan Marino
There
right
he
there,
is.
signing the check at the end of the
Just
table.
signing the check.
Yeah.
Getting a little lunch.
Getting a little lunch.
Grabbing a little lunch bite. So those are the type of things that happen.
He was in the restaurant?
Yeah.
Yeah, at the yard
Just
house.
now.
Just now.
And
We're telling you now.
You didn't think maybe it was a good idea to invite him over?
Gibby, we were at the yard house, and he was at a table.
Wait,
with
hold on.
15
Let's just
people having a
say
business
this.
lunch.
Let's say
Okay.
that this played out the way that Gibby wants it to play it out.
Hey, Dan
All right.
Marino.
We are.
Hey,
so
can I
we're-
be Dan Marino?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
I'll be Dan.
Yeah, you can be Dan
Okay.
Marino. Hey, Mr. Marino, we host a show for the Browns. It's called Cleveland Browns. Actually, we're on air in 12 minutes. Is there any way that, in the next 2 hours, you could, if you're over there at the convention center, could you just come by? And I'm sorry to interrupt you as you're in the middle of your bite and as you're signing your check with your glasses on. Could you come over here? I mean, I usually don't do this.
Who are
but
you?
Wait, what?
What? Who are you? What are you bothering for? You say, is this MDD for the Dolphins? Oh, no, it's not. It's for the Browns?
This, by the way,
What's the relevance?
Is why you need me here for this week.
You're integral.
I would have
You're
walked
integral.
over, I would have paid the tab, and then I would have said, Paul Taylor is going to expense this.
Yeah.
And then I would have said,
I bet you would have said that.
I bet. And then
Paul's
I would have
so
been
fast
like,
and loose
hey,
with money.
I just did this for you like a little bit later on today. Any chance I can get you for 10 minutes?
10 minutes with the great
What would
Dan
you
Marino.
want? What would you want to cover with Dan Marino? Just like a career retrospective?
Is he not one of the 5 greatest quarterbacks?
Yeah, he's in the mix.
We could ask him, do you think what's going to
I'm
happen?
sorry.
Do you think, you go and you're young in your career, you go face the great Joe Montana, you lose 38-16, never go to another Super Bowl. Is that what's going to happen to Joe Burrow? Should we ask him that?
With the do you see
Well,
parallels?
if you wanted to go down that road.
do you see parallels in the failures of your career in Joe Burrow?
I don't. Right now.
Because I
anyway.
don't.
I
I'm just
don't.
saying I don't.
But maybe
No.
you. I
Well,
think,
I tell you,
I think it would have been great. Listen, Gibby, also on my top 5.
I don't know
if
what
you've
you
listened.
two are doing here.
I don't know if you've listened
I mean,
to
we're
the BPA.
entertaining the people.
Yeah, I don't know if you listened to it, but one of my other top 5 things was just lurking Gibby.
Lurking Gibby is
getting
it's an
ready to
all-time.
lurk.
How do you feel about it right now, Gibby? Let's get a scouting report on how
Well,
you feel about the week.
At 9 a.m., it was not a target-rich environment.
No.
But now,
Good use of that.
now it's coming into play.
I do feel, though, like the way that we are oriented,
Yeah,
that you're going to miss out on a lot of good lurking opportunities.
I think
No, I
he's
feel like-
fine. He's at the pure
because he can see around, right?
You can see
see
this
around.
way.
Yeah.
You can see.
We're flying blind.
You and I are
We've
flying
got
blind.
Here's the thing. We're
The
going to
J
do it
corridor.
at 3 o'clock. After the show, we're going to take a walk through because it's Coach and GM day here. So everybody's still
baby.
going to be going on.
I'm excited. I love the combine. Not as much as Gibby, but I do like it.
I loved it a little too much last night. It did not love me this morning.
Yeah, but then what did I do? Was it as a hero for you? I bring you a couple sandwiches,
I want to thank you
some bacon
for
and
helping me out.
eggs and cheese.
Oh, you brought him a breakfast sandwich.
2 of them, in fact.
Wow.
Fine, great, needed something.
I think that's what everyone's waiting on, is that there's a real sense, guys, that the Rodgers thing's happening today, that you're going to get some certainty.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
We see our good friend Andrew Siciliano, who I'm sure will join the program this week, talking
Yep.
about it on
Yeah.
NFL Network
I
with
think-
Ian Rappaport. But,
We had Graziano on yesterday, and he said we were talking about like the timeliness of this, and you feel like it's going to happen on McAfee's show. And it almost has to be today because next week is the deadline to franchise Adams. So if that's going to happen, it's got to happen in short order. And I'm guessing it's all linked, right? One thing leads to another, and away you go. But that's kind of where you are on this thing. Go ahead.
Bruce Arians, by the way, says he doesn't think many high-caliber veterans quarterbacks will be traded this offseason. That's at 12:54 p.m. today. Albert Breer quote tweets that and says, what seemed to be shaping up to be a wild quarterback market 6 months ago looks like it could be relatively tame. Well, if Aaron Rodgers says, I'm out and I want to be traded, that you can throw all of that out really quickly.
Yeah, that would set it off. What will happen, though, is if that does happen and Rodgers sticks and Wilson sticks and obviously Kyler I don't think is going anywhere. They'll pay him. I mean, he has all the leverage. Like they need him so much more than he needs them from an organizational standpoint. So I think he'll get what he wants. Watson will still be out there, but then that second tier guy, now the value on Garoppolo, the value on Wentz, the value on, if the Minnesota Vikings, who are here to our right, if they want to move off of Cousins, there's huge value. Carr. Somebody wants to reset. Like now would be the time to do it because you get the price. my God, there are not enough quarterbacks to go around right now. Coach.
No, and that's the big thing. And you've got, that's one of the reasons why, you're hearing Marcus Mariota's name a lot. You're hearing Mitch Trubisky's name a lot. And Sean McDermott, who was just on right down the way from us with the guys from the Bills, said that, he expects Trubisky to get a starting job this season. Very, complimentary of him. It's almost as if he made such an impression. This doesn't happen very often. Now, they could be saying, look, in their mind, if you're trying to get a diabolical, what does it mean to them sense, you could say, all right, they're trying to get him really, really paid so that they can end up getting a third-round compensatory pick a year after signing him for a one-year deal for $5 million. So you could say that would be the business motivation. But it feels a little bit like he made such a positive impression on that organization, players, coaches, and upward, that they're almost running a PR campaign. Like they're like, hey, we want this for you. We'd like to see you get a starting job and make some good money. So that doesn't happen that often. I can't think of the last time where I heard a team, when they weren't trying to trade him,
like a campaign,
really put together a campaign for like start Mitch in 2022, because I feel like that's what the Bills are doing. And I think he is an interesting name probably to a lot of teams. And you go back and you say to yourself, well, look, he took the Bears to the playoffs with Nagy, and maybe Nagy was holding him back. Could he be at Ryan Tannehill type situation with, good athleticism? We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, and he's still really young, isn't he? Wasn't he really young when he was brought into the league? He's probably still 26.
He was young in terms of his experience, but yeah,
for
sure. I bet he's 26,
somewhere like that.
That sounds good.
Something like that feels about right. So. I mean, that's kind of what you're waiting on is that first thing, and the first quarterback that would go I think everybody kind of acknowledges 27 is Rodgers will be the first one that happens. Baltimore reports this morning, led by Zach Jackson of The Athletic, that the Browns will host the Eagles for joint training camp practices this summer in Berea. So we did it last year with the Giants. We did it this year with the Eagles, according to multiple reports.
Yeah, I would imagine that we will not see any post-practice gassers from these joint practices with the Eagles.
No,
that did not go so well for the Giants a year ago. But again, that's another team. Think about that. That's a team that's got some talent. It's got some aspirations. I'm sure in a division where there is upward mobility. It's the Cowboys at the top, but after that, it feels very, very wide open. And they don't know about their quarterback situation. Jalen Hurts has played well. He's incredibly mobile. He's done some, very, very good things, but they are clearly not committed to Jalen Hurts as the starter going into 2022. And that's a team and an organization that you would imagine is going to be rather aggressive in their pursuit of getting that franchise quarterback.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, and that's what I mean when it's the musical chairs of it all. And the quarterbacks are the chairs and the organizations are the people walking around. And there's not enough seats. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
So you're going to find some people that talk. And that's why I think by the time this week's over, Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, you'll start to see their names rise on charts, and people will start talking themselves into it. If these quarterbacks don't move, then you're going to see people say, man, we got to go get one. And if that means draft and we'll coach them up, you can always talk yourself into coaching people up. Maybe that's the way that this thing goes. I could totally see that happening here over the course of this week here in Indy. Also, Gibbe pointing this out to me, Nick Chubb squatting 495 pounds on his Instagram. That
like it was nothing.
Seems like it's a lot. It's a lot.
It feels crippling. I mean, we talked to Scott Peters about that, building some bone density there as Nick Chubb. But that is an incredible, incredible amount of weight to squat and make it look that easy.
Yeah, absolutely so. So lots of fun on the program today. We'll keep you abreast of all the NFL information as it comes through. Mel Kiper with his Combine Week mock draft. He has us making a little bit of a move. We will get into that. I had a conversation with Ohio State receivers coach Brian Hartline this morning about the two Buckeye receivers. I'll share some of the information I gleaned from him on that.
I like that.
Have a little fun along the way. We're off and running here from the NFL Scouting Combine in Indy. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
What's that? Is your wife in Florida? Where's she at? CBD brakes aren't loaded. It text me. Like, play Arrows, and if it's not set up, like, play Yesterday's.
Beau here for Indy East 4th. Excited to be part of the great story of East 4th Street, bringing a music-themed atmosphere with Southern Comfort cuisine and a rooftop patio bar to East 4th Street. Offering unique menu items paired with barrel-aged cocktails. Brought to you by the owners of Char Whiskey Bar and Grill and Avo Modern Mexican. Come in on Saturdays for Indy's Grunge Brunch Saturdays from 10 to 3. Indy is hiring. In fact, stop in Indy on East 4th to apply. Learn more at Indy East 4th on social. As you were driving in here, yes, we'll get to the Kuiper mock in a second. So far, nothing on the NFL in terms of big news stuff. How tempted are you when you see Hoosiers Gym? Have you ever stopped in there?
No, I would love to. I'd love to put up a couple shots from the baseline, maybe get a couple swishes in there, hear the crack of that net.
So
like
apparently,
so
it's like just 2 miles off the freeway.
Okay.
So it's a quick stop.
Yeah.
Like if they had a supercharger there,
boy,
maybe I could talk to him because then that would be a perfect.
That would be a perfect
zip
stop.
in, buzz up, and away we go.
Yeah.
That's. I might do it. I might do it on the way back. I might stop on the way back. I just get a shot up. You know, just hit a shot. Is it
if
gonna
I
kill
don't have
anybody?
any, if you are really going to do that, and I don't have any obligations at that time, which is hard for me to imagine. But if I did
look at all these people just
If I
chomping
did
at
it.
the bit to get you obligated to things.
If I didn't, though, I
Do you
would.
think Drew is going to?
for sure
You know how
meet you.
excited Drew is to have you doing things.
As
soon as we're done
as
here.
long as I'm doing them with Drew.
Look at Jeff. Jeff is so excited to have you doing things.
I don't understand
and
how
work
Drew
and
doesn't
doing
have
work.
his cowboy boots on though. Where's his hat? Like,
Did you bring your hat?
yeah.
Did you bring
Did
your
you bring
boots?
the boots? Neither.
I saw a gentleman as we
It's
were
a
walking back
lifestyle,
from
brother.
lunch who was wearing the boots. I mean, he was wearing the boots. You saw that guy?
Yeah.
When we were coming back, he was ready.
Oh, sure.
It's an attention getter when you do it.
It is.
When is AB? AB is supposed to go 145. 2:15 is when AB will go. So he will meet the media. So it'll go a media presentation, then a gaggle with the locals, and then that's kind of the timeline. And then coaches tomorrow, when Coach Stefanski meets with everybody here. It's going to be an interesting one for AB and Coach in terms of kind of. There's a lot of uncertainty. I mean, we know
Yes.
it needs to be fixed.
Yep.
But there's about a billion ways it feels like to try to fix it. So and they're going to be tight-lipped on everything. You're not going to get anything out of them. But I think I'm kind of interested to hear the way that they answer some of the questions about how to solve the passing game issues from a year ago.
Yeah, and I mean that's going to be the focus of it, right? That number one, and then you're going to talk about the defensive line, and we're going to get the opportunity while we are here to speak with both of them. And I think part of it is okay. From the roster standpoint, there are questions. Then I think there are questions, with Kevin Stefanski. What have you learned?
Yep.
You come in your first year, everything goes great, exceed expectations. You're the coach of the year. Year two, big expectations, fail to meet them for a variety of reasons.
Yep.
What did that teach you? You got to go through some hardship, and he has, and he's a guy who's very introspective and always trying to get better. So I personally am curious about that, and I think that it is really an interesting spot. We were talking about this at lunch. It's an interesting spot that we find ourselves in as an organization because we will not be the favorites in our division going into the season, regardless, unless something insane that we isn't in
Not
our
privy to, yeah.
right in terms of our worldview of the things that are possible. You're not going to be favored in your divisions. The Bengals obviously will be after going to the Super Bowl a year ago. So what are we trying to be? What are our goals? And I imagine this is a roster, as we talked about many times, that I think is set up to win a Super Bowl, to win a championship. Yep. And what that's going to require is obviously restocking, and even with some guys who were here a year ago, your defensive line. It's going to require vast improvements in your wide receiving core. It's going to require, I think, bringing back the Chief, and there's been a lot of talk about that, a lot of rumor about the Chief. And I'll tell you what, to me, if you make him a 1,000 snap guy and every down guy, I think that David Njoku goes to the Pro Bowl. That's just my opinion on it. I think he's blocked well.
I think for sure he's evolved. He's the blocking, and then he's just the biggest threat down the middle of the field we have
that we've got.
He's a constant mismatch. So I mean, I think he's there to be unlocked.
I think there's that.
He's ready for it. He came in really young too. You got to remember that.
He was like 20.
He was 20 when he was drafted. Like he's still a kid. Like he's just figuring it out. Like
yes.
No, I still and he wants to be here. He wants to be a Brown for life. And I'm with you. I think that's a critical thing to get locked up.
Agreed. And I think that's very, very important. And then it comes down to you need to get better play from the quarterback position. And as I've said many, many times, I think that, Baker would be the first person to tell you that last year, for a variety of reasons, the injury obviously looming incredibly large, was not up to his standard. And now for the Browns, it is the goal to get quarterback play back to the level that we had when he was throwing 20 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, improve the pass catching core around him to make that easier on your quarterback, and then maintain what you built, which was a top 5 defense in the NFL. I saw a stat yesterday that the Browns' pressure rate with Clowney on the field was 34%, which was one of the top in the NFL. It was 25% with him off of the field. And so that 1-2 punch, that tandem with Myles Garrett is incredibly important. And bringing him back, I think, is incredibly important. And, we'll have an opportunity to ask about and of course, we know what we're going to get.
Yeah,
nothing.
Right.
But
right.
you ask questions, do you expect to have any of these guys, whether it be an Njoku, whether it be a Clowney, whether it be an extension with Denzel Ward? Do you expect to have any of this done? We just restructured Jack Conklin since the last time that you and I talked, and
True.
a great deal
Yep.
for the Browns. Frees up $4 million for the Browns. It gets guaranteed money into Jack Conklin's pocket, who, as I've said many times on the show, is ahead of schedule. I get a chance to talk to him every day when I see him at the facility. He's getting after it. And so, that's a great thing. You maintain that continuity. He can still make his money back, with incentives and all of that. But for the Browns, you freed up $4 million in guaranteed money that you're going to be able to, use elsewhere to buttress this roster. So I thought that was a very, very good thing to see. So we're already making some moves that behoove us as an organization for this season going forward. And then you wonder, are any of the big dominoes going to fall? To me, the 3 biggest things that can happen, or 4 biggest things that can happen while we're here, right, would be re-sign Clowney, re-sign the Chief, or you can decide to franchise the Chief. I think that's also something that certainly is a possibility. And then you're talking about, restructuring or figuring out a solution with a Jarvis Landry, who you and I both want to wear the brown and orange for as long as he plays the game, and then figuring out, beyond that is a Denzel Ward is that long-term extension in the offing. Those are kind of the things that you do here without just a seismic roster type of a shift. That is not necessarily on the radar.
Yep. I think you've got that pretty well nailed, and most of that conversation. I do think, for those, we're here today, but I do think a lot of those clandestine meetings between owners and agents and front office and agents, like that will probably be towards the end of the week by the time that stuff starts to happen a little bit, when you start to see if there's anything to be done there. We mentioned Mel Kiper Jr. as is custom on the day the NFL Combine starts. He puts out his most recent mock draft, and he has us making a trade, has us moving up to number 9 and giving up a third to do so with Denver to take wide receiver Drake London out of USC at number 9 overall. So we would move out of 13. Denver would then take defensive end Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State in that 13 spot. And so, again, it's quarterback, and he has us receiver, and he has us going London in this case this week in the draft. I don't know if, London's the guy from USC. He played basketball, big physical guy.
Yep.
I don't know that he would be my choice now. Now, you might be able to talk me into it by the time we really get into looking at these guys over the course of the next month. But I don't know that he's that kind of that burner that we need, kind of take the top off guy that I think that we need. Big guy, you throw it up high to him, those type of things, big time in the red zone. But to me, he's not my favorite receiver in this group.
If you could tell me, and again, I'll start to get into it, but I've watched some highlights from him. He's actually pretty darn good after the catch.
Yeah.
He's obviously very good in these contested catch situations. The question becomes, and I saw Daniel Jeremiah was talking about this the other day, that, with Drake London, what people love about him, some teams are saying we love how great he is in contested catches, and then the same other teams are like, we hate that he only has contested catches. Now, I've seen plenty of times where he's gotten separation and it ends up being a contested catch because of a bad ball. It wasn't like he was dealing with great quarterback play at USC. However, if you look at him and you feel, and this is the guy that for this trade to happen, here's what I would need my front office to be sold on. He's Mike Evans.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay? If he's Mike Evans
Sold.
can take the top off of a defense, because if you don't have 2 guys running down with him, you throw it up to him and he's going to catch the ball. And Mike Evans has been as productive, consistently productive, as anybody in the NFL. So if that's who he is, then I could understand a move like this. I would be shocked that we would have. And now look, maybe you do. Maybe you have one receiver that is so much above everybody else on your board that you say that's what our priorities, that's what we're going to go get. But in this case, you're probably giving up something substantial to go from 13 to 9.
Giving up a third.
Substantial.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
so he has us giving up a third to go up from 13
I
to 9.
I don't know if I see that, because you could stay at 13, you could get Garrett Wilson. Now, it becomes is it that you're looking for out of that guy? How do you evaluate this class? What are the differences in this class? Are there things tightly bunched? And go from there. Now, one of the things that I would love to be able to ask, which we will not get, but we go through those receivers and say, give us a comp for that guy. Now, we're not going to get that from AB, but I would be curious. But if the comp for Drake London, and I've seen this some places, is Mike Evans, and you really believe he can be Mike Evans, then maybe he is the best receiver. And I've seen London at the top of multiple people whose opinions I respect board as the best receiver in the class. I've seen other people with Wilson. I've even seen a couple Jamison Williams, despite coming off of the injury.
Yeah. Burks,
and I've seen a
Burks
Burks
as well, yeah.
Yeah. The only guy that I haven't seen is Olave as the clear number one receiver in the class. But if he's Justin Jefferson, as you said, and you talked with Heartline, I'm curious to hear, if he gave you any comps for those guys, what he kind of thinks about them.
He didn't like doing the comp game, but he did say this about Olave. He goes, I asked him, situation. He goes, any situation, any team, they're better right away. He said he's plug and play. Put him in pro right now. He'll be the best route runner. He goes, he's so quick in and out of his breaks. He's so smooth as a route runner. He's better athletically than you think. He's a leader. He's a culture guy. He's all of those things. So he was a lot of praise. Now, Wilson was, it's a lot of look, I mean, I've seen these kids play so much.
Yeah.
Wilson is just got a little gear that's different, and that's why I did the Chase Jefferson thing, not necessarily because that it's apples for apples, but just because I think the reason Chase would go ahead of Jefferson, even if they would have been in the same draft, is because of the explosiveness of Jamar Chase, whereas where Jefferson was more of the sure. And that's what I see in Olave. Like, Olave will be underdrafted and catch 1,300 yards worth of passes as a rookie. If this feels like that's a lock. I think that Garrett, it'll depend on where he is. I mean, I think I'm not throwing around the Jamar Chase season, because I think that's you don't want to put that type of